Hello, good morning, everyone. Here today to talk about some fantastic partnerships and some fantastic work with some great results. Earlier this year, as everyone knows, CMPD's been heavily focused on reducing violent crime, and with that, property crime as well. And property crime, one of our main drivers this entire year has been auto thefts. With that, the Kia Hyundai Challenge has been a consistent focus on our efforts. And earlier this year, we started to see a trend of high-value auto thefts being occurring at dealerships, apartment complexes, different spots in the city. These thefts sometimes occurred with multiple vehicles stolen at the same time. And as we started to focus in on that a little more, we started to see that there was some trends. And with that, we developed a task force. And so we started an operation in April of this year. And with that, we pulled detectives together from a couple spots in the city to really focus, with a couple sergeants assigned. And then through those collaborative efforts, and I think this is the most exciting part, is you had officers from all over the department, and then you had specific detectives in every division in the entire city involved. This included our CMPD intel team, driven by them, our real-time crime center, crime scene unit, our analysts, the aviation unit was, constantly in the air helping us track some of these stolen cars. And then the strength of this operation really comes from those partnerships, right? That power in partnerships. The Federal Bureau of Investigations, the U.S. Attorney's Office, Mecklenburg County District Attorney Office was embedded in this. We've got Homeland Security, we've got National Information Crime Bureau, and then I think 11 states, up to 50 local and state jurisdictions all involved. So really, as this investigation continued, it opened different doors. And I like to say, we didn't know what was really happening on some of these things. We saw some of the numbers and the increases. And as we peeled the curtain back and took a peek inside, we got a very more clear look of what was occurring. And with that, we were able to kind of coordinate with our federal partners who had active investigations, and it all kind of came together, to have some fantastic results. I'm now going to introduce Lieutenant Warith Muhammad. He is going to go over the specific results of this operation. And as you listen to these numbers, right, the numbers are high. You're going to hear about some really high numbers with firearm seizures and how they're linked to different crimes. It really opens your eyes that it's not auto theft, it's criminal activity that also has a huge impact on our communities from the aspect of the violence used with these firearms that were seized. So I really am excited to see, every single firearm that was seized by this entire task force is one less in a criminal's hand. And you've got officers that on some days did 16-hour days. As they processed cars, went back, did search warrants, sometimes multiple search warrants. And with that, that's time away from their homes and their families, dedicated to the community of Charlotte. And we're really proud of them for all this work. And I'm excited to continue to see what kind of results we continue to have and to continue to be committed to reduce that violence. So now let me introduce Lieutenant Warith Muhammad.
Thank you, Cap. Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to highlight the great work of our officers taking part in a specially formed operation to identify and arrest key players in a high-end auto theft ring called Operation Scarlet, which stands for Stolen Car and Recovery Law Enforcement Team. CMPD formed this task force in April this year to investigate an upward trend of luxury vehicle thefts from car dealerships, and private residences. CMPD was also recovering high-end motor vehicles in Charlotte that were originally stolen from outside jurisdictions at a much higher rate. The overwhelming majority of these motor vehicles were Dodge Chargers and Challengers, but also included many other luxury models such as Audi, Mercedes-Benz, Range Rover, Cadillac, and BMW. Within 4 months, detectives collaborated with approximately 50 different local agencies spanning across 11 states, as well as several federal agencies. These high-end stolen motor vehicles are believed to be connected in numerous other crimes throughout Charlotte and surrounding counties, to include alleged homicides, vehicle fatalities, drive-by shootings, armed robberies, and other property crimes, many of which are still under investigation. Since April, this collaboration has led to the recovery of 132 stolen motor vehicles with an approximate value of $11.5 million. Most importantly, this relentless work has led to over 500 state felony charges on numerous suspects. Detectives have written more than 70 search warrants and have seized approximately $210,000 in cash, 82 firearms, of which 8 of those were reported stolen, a variety of narcotics, and numerous other illegal items related to the overall investigation. The success of Scarlet is attributed to the collaborative efforts of our internal and external partners. There's still more to be done with this investigation, but CMPD is incredibly proud of the work, the diligence, and the dedication to the officers and detectives and our federal partners to identifying a problem and working tirelessly to solve the problem. The CMPD is committed to continuing this investigation and this collaboration with other jurisdictions and our federal partners until everyone responsible is held accountable for their actions. And at this time, we'll take questions.
Sir, can you mention some of the other the counties or the jurisdictions where you believe these things have happened?
Sure. To name a few, Johnston County, Guilford County, Wake County, Cabarrus County, of course, Mecklenburg County, to name a few.
We see a lot of stuff with the pictures there. How big of a dent does this put in that stuff not being on the street?
It puts a huge dent. As you can see, quite a few firearms. When you think about 82 firearms removed from the city, off the streets, that has a magnificent impact on reducing violent crime in the city.
And as you look at that, right, you've got the Mecklenburg County District Attorney's Office embedded with our federal partners, right? So it's really that dent happens with those big teeth, right? When these indictments or charges come down and people are held accountable. I think it sends a strong message. A strong partnership shows that strong message of, if you want to commit these type of crimes and have impacts on people's lives, there's going to be a time that you'll be held accountable for it. That's where I think we're going to see a huge impact.
And forgive me if you said, did you say how many individuals arrested?
I didn't. There's quite a few. The active investigation, so we don't want to name how many, but there has been a few arrests and many more to come.
Would you say like dozens, or I mean, just kind of an idea of number? Not, I mean.
I would say approximately 6.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, I think we'll refer you to the U.S. Attorney's release, right, on people that, you know, were seen inside this investigation. And then also, you know, I think it's really easy to say that there's going to be dozens of people criminally charged as this continues to be ongoing.
Is this a crime circle or a number of separate groups or individuals responsible for these?
What we have seen is pockets of small groups, which kind of brings the broader group together, which is a larger group that's committing these crimes, but it's a variety of smaller groups that's committing it throughout the city.
And geographically, is it all over Mecklenburg County, or is it particularly one area over the other?
Based on some of the intel from the investigations, primarily the East Coast.
So were they stealing from dealerships in other states and then bringing back here to sell in Charlotte, or how is this working?
Absolutely. I think it would go both ways, stealing from outside Mecklenburg County or Charlotte and bringing it here to sell, as well as stealing from here and shipping it to other states as well.
Can you name some of the dealerships that were victims?
I'm not able to mention any of those today since it's an active, ongoing investigation.
You said dealerships as well as apartment complexes in Charlotte were victims?
Yes, ma'am.
On that note, did you discover anything that victims can do that would make it less likely that this would happen to them?
Yeah, there's a couple things. Some of the common methods that are being used is keys left in the vehicle, window smashes, and then the use of electronic bypasses. So I would say one of the first things we can do is refrain from keeping anything of value as well as the keys from in your car. If you see something, say something. If you notice any 3 or 4 luxury vehicles sitting in a driveway and you know your senses rise that you think something's suspicious, we want to know about that, so definitely call 911. But I would start there.
And I think it's important, right, that we've really spent a lot of time trying to work with partners on how to better secure keys, right? How to come up with different security protocols to avoid these thefts. I think individually, right, we've had several recoveries where people put their own AirTags or their own tracking devices on their own vehicle. And then even if the factory one was disabled or cut off, we were able to follow through and recover the vehicle by using their own tracking methods. I think that's a great tool. And then also as technology advances, right, you start to see things where, you know, you always see it with credit cards, right, to put your credit card in this sleeve so people can't steal that signal. I think the same thing can occur with cars and your key, right, is that they make those same bags that when you're home, most of the time when you're at home, where do you put your keys at? Most of the time they're right inside the front door on a hanger in a bowl. And we've seen, you know, not really even before this investigation, where people will go walk up to people's doors and try to use electronic equipment to grab that signal to then duplicate and be able to steal a car. So I think that it made me look at myself and say, hey, I need to move stuff away from the front door or put it in one of those signal bags that lock in the signal. But I think anytime you can park in a secure area inside your parking deck, and just really kind of security systems, even if you have your own alarms and stuff, but it's really important to just, you know, pay attention and make sure that you're doing your part by not leaving your spare key, because we've seen many times their key is on their key ring and then they go, oh, but my spare key's in the glove box, right? And so what happens is it gives open access for somebody to get in the car, hit the pedal and hit the button, and then it fires up and they're gone.
Were some of these, in these cases involving that electronic signal?
Maybe not that one specific, but as technology advances, we started to see where people were trying to use electronics to bypass systems. And with that, you know, they were successful in some cases.
I guess other than being luxury cars, what makes these cars so attractive? Are they easily turnable, they can kind of sell them quickly, or they're wanted by people that they can resell them to?
I would agree with that 100%. These are luxury vehicles that are cash deals, and they go quick, go easy.
And you mentioned that it's not just the car thefts, but there are other crimes that these are tied to. I mean, how important is it that you guys are able to put a dent in that?
It was huge. I mean, again, this task force was able to connect the dots with a lot of these variety of crimes, as well as work with local jurisdictions and outside agencies to kind of collaborate on these cases and investigations.
So if somebody at home is like, well, I don't have a luxury car, you know, why does it matter to me?
Right.
It does.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Were they going to the car dealerships and trading out key fobs and then coming back and taking the cars after stealing the key fobs and trading them out for fake ones?
Right.
Was that a part of it?
We've seen a variety of that. One case is where keys are left in the vehicle. The others is when they take the key fobs and they're able to reprogram them and then steal it that way, just drive off the lot with the cars.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. So just in conclusion, as we wrap up, we talk a lot about our efforts here at CMPD in reducing violent crime, and we mean it, that is always a focus, but we want everyone to know that we are putting in the work on the property crime side of things also, and like the captain, the lieutenant were just talking about, we see these as often linked. There's a lot of intersection that happens between those, and this doesn't happen by accident. These results, this doesn't happen on accident. There's considerable effort and collaboration that goes into work like this, and we feel that the results show just that. there's a magnitude of this issue that we've discovered, and there's a lot of work that's been done for that. So we appreciate you joining us today. We have a media release out to you that kind of recaps the information that we've put forth today, and we appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Right now, the search is on after several house fires this weekend. At least 2 of them were intentionally set, but fire officials aren't saying if the 2 are connected. This morning, neighbors are on edge. It's why Wake Up Charlotte's Destiny Richards is joining us now from Charlotte Fire Headquarters. She's got the latest. Destiny, what do you know?
Well, the Charlotte Fire Department is estimating nearly $21,000 in damage for one of those homes set on fire on Saturday in East Charlotte. Another fire set nearly 24 hours earlier is estimated to cost $115,000. The Charlotte Fire Department is investigating 2 house fires intentionally set in the last 2 days. One happened on Park Drive near Independence Park shortly after midnight on Saturday morning. The other on Saturday night on Linda Lake Court in East Charlotte.
But it is kind of unsettling.
Firefighters have already deemed the house on Park Drive unsafe. Darren Solomon with the North Carolina International Association of Arson Investigators gave some insight into 3 things that are important in fire investigations. Fire dynamic, meaning how hot it burns. Fire chemistry, indicators of accelerants like gasoline, and lastly, witness statements. While the investigation continues, neighbors hope other homes in Charlotte don't have to suffer the same fate.
People have to change, and I think it's the vibes that we send out to the people that we walk past every day. And until that happens, it's going to continue.
Now, right now, the Charlotte Fire Department is asking for anyone with any new information, even an anonymous tip, to call their Crime Stoppers line. That number is 704-334-1600. Live at the Charlotte Fire Headquarters, Destiny Richards, Wake Up Charlotte.
All right, Destiny, thanks. Officials are also investigating a deadly fire from over the weekend in East Charlotte. Crews responded to a fire on Fairs Road near 485 Saturday night. Fire officials say 1 person is dead and 2 others are seriously injured. And the cause of the fire is still under investigation. 5:38 this Tuesday morning, and we're asking, where's the money? Now, we told you about this yesterday. A survey from researchers over at OnePoll says on average, workers haven't received a raise in 3 years. It's why we're breaking down 5 ways to negotiate your salary and get more money in your pockets. Now, first, you have to use your resources to research salaries. These are sites like Glassdoor, Comparably. And keep in mind the average salary raise is somewhere between 3 and 5%. Now, that can help you with figuring out your own number that you want for yourself. Moving on to 2, if you have access, take a look at how your company is performing. If you know your business is doing well, it may be a good time to ask for a sit down with your boss. Now, as far as arguing your point, you may want to take a look at your achievements, especially if there's any projects or accomplishments that you've done that you know your employer could be making money off of or otherwise benefiting. Now, moving on to 4, you want to make sure that you are prepared. You want to be able to present what you're thinking clearly to your employer. It might be as simple as narrowing it down to 3 talking points. And last is your schedule. Now, look for an opportunity to get on your manager's calendar, preferably in the middle of the week. It's why we're asking this morning, when is the last time that you've negotiated a salary? Make sure you text in at 704-329-3600.
It used to be that you wanted a salary increase to keep up with inflation, but any more inflation is
Oh, I know, right?
it seems, nearly impossible at this point.
With your help, WCNC Charlotte is making a difference in our community.
Beautiful day, so many people helping. This is incredible.
Let's spread that love tonight.
Here is a $5,000 check that you guys can use to further the mission.
There is nothing on earth like the feeling of giving back with your hands.
$5,000 to you and Block Love Charlotte for what you guys do.
If you'd like to make a difference, go to WCNC.com/make-a-difference now.
Time now to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. New polling shows former President Donald Trump leading the Republican field for president by 46 points. And now there's a new effort with roots right here in North Carolina to keep Mr. Trump off the ballot.
A novel legal strategy dating back to the Civil War could keep Mr. Trump off the ballot. Let's connect the dots. The 14th Amendment disqualifies anti-government insurrectionists from holding federal office. And some say Donald Trump could be disqualified because of his role during the attack on the Capitol on January 6th. It was first put to the test here in the Tar Heel State back in 1869, when a pro-Confederate sheriff in Moore County was banned from taking office after the war despite winning. The North Carolina Supreme Court ruling the 14th Amendment doesn't require someone to be criminally convicted of insurrection. More recently, a similar argument was made to target former Congressman Madison Cawthorn for his participation on the Capitol attack. But he lost the GOP primary before the case could ever be resolved. Experts say it could be harder to pull off with a presidential candidate who's on the ballot in 50 states. And that is connecting the dots.
CMPD is currently investigating after a body was found in the middle of Beatties Ford Road in northwest Charlotte this morning. Take a look at some of the video from the scene shortly after it happened. Police say they responded to a welfare call and found a person dead in the road. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is there and has the latest.
Yeah, good afternoon. At this hour, Beatties Ford Road is back open. This as a family is dealing with the tragedy of finding out that their loved one died right in the middle of Beatties Ford Road here. Now, this all happened this morning. Police called out to the scene where people reported seeing someone laying in the roadway. At first, the folks we spoke to said they thought it was a man, but police later told them no, it was a woman. We can tell you that that person, that victim, was not shot. But as far as how she died, that's something we have not learned as of yet. Of course, this is a terrible tragedy anytime someone dies. We spoke to Lucille Puckett, who is a community activist and also running for mayor. She told us that basically the worst thing about this is the fact that children saw it early this morning on their way to school.
Coming out to this scene, I'm seeing school buses with our young children passing, the scene this early in the morning. Seeing all the police, seeing the yellow tape. I mean, when do this end here in Charlotte? What can we do as a community to prevent things like this from happening here in Charlotte?
And again, police at this time have notified the next of kin. They are saying that this is an active investigation. And as we get updated information, of course, we'll give it to you. We're right here on Beatties Ford Road in West Charlotte. This is Richard Devane for WCNC Charlotte.
Verify, WCNC Charlotte.
Verify is all about trying to make a difference in the community by making sure that the community has the correct information. This is what we know, and hey, this is what we don't know. Sometimes you're actually surprised by the answer.
Verify the difference.
Verify is a great way to combat that misinformation, making sure that people know the process of the reporting.
This morning, we are looking into a social media post circulating on Instagram. In it, a person is holding what looks like a CMPD badge, but it doesn't have a badge number on it. They were questioning whether the badge is real since there's no number. So Wake Up Charlotte's Megan Bragg is verifying for us this morning.
It's this post on social media that claims a CMPD officer lost a badge while chasing a suspect. However, in the video, the poster was asking if it was a real CMPD badge, pointing to the lack of a badge number. So the question, does CMPD have a badge number imprinted on the badge itself? Let's verify. Our sources, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department and CMPD policy. The badge in the video says officer and shows the police department's logo and the state NC. In an email, CMPD told us our badges do not have numbers on them, just rank. After some research, we found that many departments in NC, including Charlotte and Durham, do not show numbers on their badges. So we can verify that no, CMPD does not have a badge number imprinted on the badge itself. But beyond that, what happens if an officer loses a badge? According to CMPD policy, that officer needs to report it to their supervisor and operations command. The supervisor will investigate the loss of equipment and prepare a written report. plus recommendations to replace it. If the investigation determines the employee was negligent in losing the badge, that officer might be required to reimburse the department. The best thing to do if you find a police badge is, of course, turn it in to the police department it came from. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
Well, if you have something you would like verified, just email us at verify@wcnc.com.
Welcome back. Ready to smile? At 11 years old, you might not know what you want to do with the rest of your life. I know I didn't, but this little girl does. Hannah Rue, that is her. She definitely knows.
Yeah, her goal is to inspire others to reach for their dreams. As you can see, she is living one of her dreams here. WCNC Charlotte's Sarah French takes a look at how this young dancer is making a difference and motivating others along the way.
Well, I would want people to know that even though I look different, I'm just like you.
So Hannah is a spunky 11-year-old.
Hannah's mom, Katie, says her daughter was born missing both legs as well as part of one arm.
When we first found out, it was a big shock. But we had the whole pregnancy to kind of go through all those emotions.
And her mom says after Hannah was born, they never looked back.
We didn't think anything was going to stop her.
With the love and support from her family, Hannah took off. From baseball to soccer, gymnastics, and cheer, Hannah did it all. But dance became her passion.
I feel like dance is like a stress reliever because sometimes after school I'll have like a stressful day and then I'll come to dance that night and just like let all my feelings and emotions out, and it, like I forget about everything around me and I'm just like in the moment.
At Steps in Motion Dance Studio, Hannah says she feels at home.
I'll just like imagine me like almost like in the future, just like dancing on like stage or something. I want to be an amazing dancer.
Hannah's mom said when they first called Steps, they weren't sure how it would all play out.
When we first called up and let them know about her, we kind of didn't say a whole lot because we're like, she's very independent. This is her body. She was born, born a little different and has prosthetics, and we'll just kind of see where it goes.
And when Hannah joined new classes, she was fine with questions from the other kids.
Everyone's curious and like people haven't seen me before, so I just want everyone to know that like I'm fine talking about my body. It doesn't make me uncomfortable or anything, and I accept all questions.
Hannah is working on walking in her full leg prosthetics as well. But for now, she's comfortable just like this.
She's definitely in her element when she's on stage. Hannah, when she's dancing, she's in her own world, and I can see her just dance away everyday stresses of the world. I see every emotion just come out and just pure happiness. And that's, as a mom, the best thing to see. She's taught me just to be yourself. That's been, I think, the most important thing with her.
It doesn't matter if you're different or not. And I know sometimes things can be hard because it's like life can be completely different, but just don't let that bring you down, and to always remember that you're different and that's fine. It's perfect, perfectly fine.
Hannah encourages all of us to embrace what makes us unique, pursuing your passions along the way. For WCNC Charlotte, I'm Sarah French.
Stop. There it is right there.
All right.
Looks like fun. Looks like it's okay as far as temperatures go. We'll say around 70 at 7 a.m. for those later buses leaving around 9 a.m. It'll be the mid-70s now. It's going to warm up today on the way home. Temperatures in the low 90s before some big changes over the next several days, and that is the good news. Particularly futurecast, there may be a couple of pop-up storms as we head into the afternoon. It'll take you about 5 p.m. You can see some showers from Taylorsville up to Jefferson, down around Lincolnton, and that moves towards the Charlotte metro area. 8 p.m. this evening, a line of showers from Charlotte to Concord, Albemarle, all the way up to Salisbury along that I-85 corridor. We take you at about 9 this evening. Still a few showers out there. Then a break in that, and then tomorrow afternoon, another round of showers and storms, particularly as you get into Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem, in that area. This takes you about 8 p.m. A lot of those north of here. And then we get into Saturday morning, showers east of the Charlotte metro area. Then we have some showers moving in late morning, about 10 a.m. from Lancaster to Wadesboro, all the way to Southern Pines. Then some showers tracking across the Charlotte metro area as we head towards late Saturday afternoon into early Sunday. Live view from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Quiet right now, but the big auto show is going on out there all the way through the weekend. It should be okay, but that's always a great time for everybody. as we take a look and show exactly what's going on across the region. Right now, we're looking at current temperatures of 73 at Greensboro, 72 at Shelby, up at Boone, 66. That's matched at Jefferson, 70 at Lancaster and Monroe, and right here in the Queen City, we're at 74 degrees under fair skies out there. Here's some great news about what's going to happen in the next several days. Now, today, low 90s. Tomorrow, upper 80s. And for the weekend, a nice little leveling off in the temperatures. Looking ahead to next week, check this out. Middle of the month, we're going to see temperatures in the upper 70s. Some real fall-like weather on the way next week. Here's the way it shapes up as far as high temperatures today. Around 77 at Boone, 92 at Rock Hill. You'll be in the mid-90s at Lancaster, the hot spot, and low 90s across the Charlotte metro area out there today. Take a look and show you what's going on as far as the tropics. And this is Hurricane Lee, expected to become a major hurricane. You can see right now, still about 1,000 miles away from the Leeward and Windward Islands, but over the next several days, it does become a major hurricane and eventually maybe close to, that's right, Saffir-Simpson scale, maybe Cat 5. This is, you can see 2 a.m., that's Tuesday morning, winds up at about 150 miles an hour. Computer models still indicating that turn is away from the East Coast and unfortunately a beeline for Bermuda that eventually ends up towards Halifax and Nova Scotia as we get into a week, not this Sunday, but a week from Sunday. We'll certainly keep an eye on that. The computer models, once again, keeping it away from us. We're in the low 90s out there today as we check the Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Upper 80s tomorrow. Look at that weekend. We're in the 80s, but with that does come a chance of showers, and we stay in the 80s all the way through the middle of next week.
WCNC Charlotte.
Weather is a kind of science that you get to see and experience every day. And I think some people don't even realize how much it affects them. That weather has a huge impact on how it threatens your family, your livelihood, or your home. So I think it really is one of those defining things we do that really affects everybody in our community.
See the difference.
That process of giving you a warning ahead of time and keeping you and your family safe is really important to me because I live here too. It's my family, it's my friends, it's my neighbors.
Cleanup continues after Hurricane Idalia made landfall earlier this week, destroying homes and leaving communities littered in debris. Idalia touched down in Florida's Big Bend just before 8 Wednesday morning as Category 3, killing at least 3 people before battering Georgia and other states on the East Coast. While Boone-based nonprofit joins those helping with relief efforts, WCNC Charlotte's Kaylin Hagwood spoke with Samaritan's Purse leaders in Florida tonight.
Our mission is to love on the people, let them know they haven't been forgotten, and just bringing Jesus to them.
For more than 50 years, Samaritan's Purse has worked to support the needs of families. Now the faith-based nonprofit is taking its efforts to Florida to lend a hand after Hurricane Idalia left devastation in its path.
There are lots of downed trees on homes, in yards, lots of debris in the yard, and then also some flooding.
Based in Boone, Jody Yoder says volunteers have been in Perry, Florida, making their way along the Big Bend in support of families in need. They provided these photos and videos of their efforts.
Taking out drywall, taking out cabinetry, anything that's wet, getting that out, ready for them to rebuild.
She says they expect to remain in Florida for the next couple of weeks until the work is done.
If we do need to extend past that, we will do that. We will get the help to the people here that they need. Just pray for the staff that is here, the volunteers, and most of all the community as they recover from this devastation.
Kaylin Hagwood, WCNC Charlotte.
And if you'd like to help, you can donate or volunteer. Just search for Kaylin's story on our website for details on how. Well, back to a story we brought you a few weeks ago. A self-driving taxi company called Cruise was testing out its fleet of vehicles right here in the Queen City. Now, video then showed one of them getting into a really close call with a driver on Independence Boulevard. It's why Wake Up Charlotte's Megan Bragg is bringing us this verified fact check.
Self-driving taxis could soon become a reality. In fact, Cruise, a tech company, just brought its vehicles to Charlotte to test their effectiveness. But what happens if you get into an accident involving one of these driverless cars? Let's get the facts. Our sources are the company itself, Cruise, and the Insurance Information Institute. On the Cruise website, they break down what you should do if the driverless taxi you are riding in is involved in a collision. Cruise says if it detects a crash, it can communicate with the rider through the car's phone system. Cruise will use the car's cameras to evaluate what is happening around the vehicle. If you're a rider, stay buckled and wait in the car if you can. If you need to, Cruise says to exit onto a sidewalk. Then a Cruise support specialist will contact you and get you the help help you need right away. The Insurance Information Institute says crews can gather information about the collision through the car's system of sensors and cameras. According to crews, the company will assess the damage and handle the insurance aspects through its own insurance carrier. But what if you're driving in your own vehicle and you get into a collision with a crew's driverless taxi? The Insurance Information Institute says you should contact your insurance company right away to help you assess the damage, take photos, and provide your statement. Fault will then be determined from the assessments, photos, and statements. In the end, claims will be paid out just like any other car accident. With your Verify Fact Check, I'm Megan Bragg.
Flew anywhere for Labor Day or really any time recently, you probably noticed how long it takes to actually get on board the plane. In fact, it takes the average flight almost an hour just to board. And experts say that whole painful process all comes down to cash.
Research shows how we currently board airplanes is not the most efficient and actually makes the process longer. Let's connect the dots. Several studies show boarding window seats first, and then middle seats, and then aisle seats would be the quickest way to get everybody on board. But that is not what happens. Airline companies have raised billions of dollars off their loyalty programs, and one perk almost all of them have means people who pay get to board early, no matter where they're seated. Some airlines, like Southwest, say they're trying to do something about making boarding a little shorter. Southwest says it's all in the turnaround time. Right now, they're trying to take an average of 2 minutes off the time it takes you to get on the plane by getting it all cleaned up from the last flight quicker. But as far as getting back to that 10 minutes that it used to take to get everybody on board back in the 1970s, that will be reserved for the folks willing to fork up a little extra cash. That is Connecting the Dots.
Ocean waters encompass approximately 71% of the Earth. It acts as a life source for humans, animals, and deep-sea creatures alike. Carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases are causing global temperatures to rise, but only 10% of that excess heat influences us on land. In fact, 90% of excess heat is stored below the ocean surface. This has allowed marine heat waves to become 20 times more common. Zach Caniso is a climate coordinator and marine biologist for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. He says a marine heat wave is when the water temperature is above the 90th percentile of the average for about 3 to 5 days. But he says as our average continues to rise, so will the absolute temperature of the water.
It causes stress. Just think about how you feel when it's warmer than normal, when it gets warmer. You get stressed out, you kind of feel uncomfortable. Now imagine not being able to escape that, because our ocean animals sometimes can't.
This warming can result in changes to coastal fisheries, migration, and circulation patterns. Overheating can also spark coral bleaching, which damages the coral used to support ocean life with habitat and food.
If the coral reefs die, then it's very bad ecologically.
Howard Diamond is the Climate Science Program Manager with NOAA's Air Resources Laboratory. He says coral reefs act as a natural defense by protecting sensitive coastlines from storm surge inundation.
Coral reefs provide somewhat of a barrier for high waves during things like hurricanes.
Warming ocean waters can also result in more intense hurricanes. Storms use warm ocean water to strengthen, and warm air allows those storms to hold more moisture.
So these storms become stronger, they have more rainfall, so you get effects like greater flooding, greater coastal flooding.
Warm ocean waters also contribute to sea level rise through a process called thermal expansion. Essentially, as water warms, it also expands. All of these changes can lead to declining tourism and job loss, especially for coastal communities.
The oceans have been saving us for a long time. They're a tremendous sink of carbon dioxide and heat. But as they get warmer and warmer, the CO2 that they're storing is going to return itself back to the atmosphere, and it's going to exacerbate the heating.
Both experts say slowing down our warming oceans and mitigating the impacts of climate change is up to all of us.
collectively, these little impacts that each individual person have can add up and they can make a difference.
For WCNC Charlotte, I'm meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees.
Wake up to the news that matters most with meteorologist and traffic reporter Chris Mulcahy.
And we're all clear. We're keeping you smarter, safer, and on time.
Start your day the Mulcahy way. See the difference. 4:30 to 7 on WCNC Charlotte.
5:08 this morning, and we're talking about the local police officer that's getting a lot of attention. So this is Lieutenant Corey Brooks. He works for Salisbury Police. Yesterday, the department released video of a rescue that he made last month that is nothing short of heroic. Check this out.
All right, sir, you need to get out of the truck.
Now, this rescue starts with the officer heading towards a line of fire that's leading up to this semi-truck on the side of the road. And that's when he takes off running. Now, just seconds later, he sees there's a man behind the wheel unconscious. So you can see Brooks unfasten the man's seatbelt and pull him from the car. Some moments later, another officer does make it to the scene and helps the man to safety across the road. But that's not all. About 5.5 minutes into this video, you could hear some kind of explosion and you could see flames take over the truck where that driver was once sitting just minutes ago. Now, more on Brooks. The Sumter, South Carolina native has received a lot of recognition over his tenure. That list includes the City of Salisbury Keys of Excellence Bronze Award, Salisbury Police Veteran Officer of the Year Award, the 2016 Blue Line Brotherhood Award, and the Lions Club Salisbury Police Veteran of the Year Award as well. Guys, Officer Brooks had made this rescue on August 8th. He was actually responding to another call, which just goes to show how quickly he sprang into action after seeing that car fire.
Remarkable.
They are just heroes, aren't they?
I know what they can do. All right, Kia, thank you.
Let's go to this now. New, breaking the cycle of poverty by revitalizing a neighborhood in West Charlotte. Over a decade ago, Charlotte city leaders and neighbors created the Renaissance West Community Initiative. It created mixed-income housing, childcare, and a senior center, including a school there. Now, students went back to school today. WCNC Charlotte's Lexi Wilson shows us the community's successes and the hardships.
Just east of the Charlotte Douglas Airport, on 40 acres of land, sits the Renaissance West Community Initiative. It once was an area with high crime and poor public housing. Now it's an approach to stop generational poverty by pairing school reform with housing and support for families.
Ambitious and aggressive, it goes together.
Dwight Thompson is Renaissance West STEAM Academy's third principal. As one of the highest poverty schools in the state, he's been working to create the school's comeback.
If you're going to tackle poverty and you're going to do it well, you cannot do it in a way that is what you would do with every other school.
The school has always struggled with the basics. When it opened in 2017, the state reported only 1/3 of kindergartners arrived with the skills they needed, and only 28% of the older students passed reading exams. Since then, there has been improvement.
Last school year, you could see the shift where kids were talking about their own academics in a different way, and I need to do better.
But reading and math scores still remain low. Overall, the school's grade is an F. That's why Thompson continues to work on teacher selection.
It changes everything. It changes the culture. We could not afford for any teacher to not be really effective and get the job done for kids.
And happy first day of school.
Over the years, the school has received big bucks in hopes to reshape public education. This model is not a quick fix. Poverty is a complex issue, but many say there have been some wins.
It's already shifted here, and hopefully it bleeds into the community.
This is just one story in a 3-part series about Renaissance West through the Charlotte Journalism Collaborative. We'll have all 3 stories on our WCNC mobile app. Reporting in West Charlotte for WCNC Charlotte, I'm Lexi Wilson.
As briefly mentioned there, the story was produced with the support from the Charlotte Journalism Collaborative, launched by the Solutions Journalism Network with funding from the Knight Foundation. The collaborative strengthens the local news ecosystem and increases opportunities for engagement there. It is supported by a combination of local and national grants and sponsorships. If you want more information, visit charlottejournalism.org.
When it comes to WCNC's chief meteorologist Brad Panovich, our viewers tell the whole story.
Hey, if you're new to the area, this meteorologist is awesome.
I always stick with Brad Panovich when it comes to severe weather. He's rarely wrong.
You should follow Brad if you don't already. He's usually right on the money with his forecast.
I don't look at anything else besides what Brad says. We are fortunate to have him here.
Brad Panovich. Experience the difference with WCNC Charlotte weather.
And that's it for your morning rush. Moving on to Where is the Money this morning. And of course, we are continuing to talk about College Game Day this weekend. The event brings a lot of attention and a lot of money to the Charlotte area. It's all going down in Uptown's Romare Bearden Park, and the hope is that folks attending will maybe spend their dollars at bars and restaurants, perhaps in the nearby French Quarter. It's why we're taking a look at economic impact numbers last year. Maybe it can give us an idea of what to expect this year. So starting with App State, in 2022, the chancellor said the university saw a 25% application spike. That's after the College Game Day appearance. Now, ESPN's football pregame show featured the university in September. It was a week after App State's upset victory over Texas A&M. Now, the Hickory Record adds that the game day bus drew a crowd when it stopped in Hickory on its way to Boone as well. Chancellor Sherry Everts said then that the coverage the university received through that show was equal to more than $360 million in advertising spending. Now, as far as the city, though, the Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority, they put a dollar amount on the economic impact. That number racked up to $14 million. Attendance came in at around 36,000 folks, and more than 20,000 visitors spent $8 million alone. It's why we're asking this morning, who are you excited to watch this weekend? Make sure you text us at 704-329-3600. Guys, of course, college sports, a huge deal in the Carolinas. I'm going to keep my opinion to myself and wait for other people to weigh in.
I'll tell you what, for those of us who are dragging our feet going into fall, the fact that it's now September 1st, we've got College Game Day, and that we're waking up in the 60s.
It's amazing. I love it. It puts me in a great mood.
There's no denying it anymore. All right, Kia, thanks.
When did you know what you wanted to be?
Hey, Mom, the weather's on!
WCNC Charlotte's chief meteorologist, Brad Panovich, always knew what he was meant to do.
All right, don't forget your umbrella.
In fact, he joined the American Meteorological Society when he was 13. Now Brad is all grown up. You can see him right here on WCNC Charlotte, making sure you're informed and safe.
Hey, where did all my hair go?
Experience the difference.
Stop. There it is right there.
All right.
Looks like fun. Looks like it's okay as far as temperatures go. We'll say around 70 at 7 a.m. for those later buses leaving around 9 a.m. It'll be the mid-70s now. It's going to warm up today on the way home. Temperatures in the low 90s before some big changes over the next several days, and that is the good news. Particularly Futurecast, maybe a couple of pop-up storms as we head into the afternoon. Take you about 5 p.m. You can see some showers from Taylorsville up to Jefferson, down around Lincolnton, and that moves towards the Charlotte metro area. 8 p.m. this evening, a line of showers from Charlotte to Concord, Albemarle, all the way up to Salisbury along that I-85 corridor. We take you at about 9 this evening. Still a few showers out there. Then a break in that, and then tomorrow afternoon, another round of showers and storms, particularly as you get into Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem, in that area. This takes about 8 p.m. A lot of those north of here. And then we get into Saturday morning, showers east of the Charlotte metro area. Then we have some showers moving in late morning, about 10 a.m. from Lancaster to Wadesboro, all the way to Southern Pines. Then some showers tracking across the Charlotte metro area as we head towards late Saturday afternoon into early Sunday. Live view from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Quiet right now, but the big auto show is going on out there all the way through the weekend. It should be okay for that. It's always a great time for everybody. As we take a look and show exactly what's going on across the region. Right now, we're looking at current temperatures of 73 at Greensboro, 72 at Shelby, up at Boone, 66. That's matched at Jefferson, 70 at Lancaster and Monroe, and right here in the Queen City, we're at 74 degrees under fair skies out there. Here's some great news about what's going to happen in the next several days. Now, today, low 90s. Tomorrow, upper 80s. And for the weekend, a nice little leveling off in the temperatures. Looking ahead to next week, check this out. Middle of the month, we're going to see temperatures in the upper 70s. Some real fall-like weather on the way next week. Here's the way it shapes up as far as high temperatures today. Around 77 at Boone, 92 at Rock Hill. It'll be in the mid-90s at Lancaster, the hot spot, and low 90s across the Charlotte metro area out there today. Take a look and show you what's going on as far as the tropics. And this is Hurricane Lee, expected to become a major hurricane. You can see right now, still about 1,000 miles away from the Leeward and Windward Islands, but over the next several days, it does become a major hurricane and eventually maybe close to, that's right, Saffir-Simpson scale, maybe Cat 5. This is, you can see 2 a.m., that's Tuesday morning, Winds up at about 150 miles an hour. Computer models still indicating that turn is away from the East Coast and unfortunately a beeline for Bermuda, then eventually ends up towards Halifax and Nova Scotia as we get into a week, not this Sunday, but a week from Sunday. We'll certainly keep an eye on the computer models, once again keeping it away from us. We're in the low 90s out there today as we check the Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Upper 80s tomorrow. Look at that weekend. We're in the 80s, but with that does come a chance of showers, and we stay in the 80s all the way through the middle of next week.
An annual gospel concert put on hold during the pandemic is back this year. It's all happening at the United House of Prayer for All People off Beatties Ford Road. Organizers tell us the last Gospel Shout took place back in 2019. At the height of the public health crisis, the church was linked to a COVID-19 outbreak with nearly 150 cases and 5 deaths. 3 years later, the tradition is back and with some familiar safety measures. WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre spoke to organizers and shares what people can expect.
A lot of folks don't know that Charlotte has its own musical tradition. It's called the Shout Bands. They happen only in the United House of Prayer for All People. Trombone bands, tuba, drums.
After a 3-year hiatus, the annual Gospel Shout concert is back at the United House of Prayer for All People.
If you are not familiar with the House of Prayer, this will be new to you and be very special. It's a thing that the whole community takes pride in.
Tom Hanchett, co-host for the event, says it is also a way to involve young people in the church as the traditions are passed down for new generations to carry on. He adds the Shout Band tradition can only be found in the United House of Prayer.
The evening always starts out with the Clouds of Heaven Shout Band, and they just warm up the house a little bit. You can hear the trombones kind of percolating, and then somebody rears back and the first note begins.
The concert is back and with face covering requirements. Despite the end of the public health emergency, the church has kept the safety measure for its members. Several signs of the mask requirement are seen posted outside of the church.
This is a congregational situation. You're not social distancing. A lot of elders in the church and a lot of elderly people like myself. And we want to be safe. COVID's on an uptick, so please wear masks.
Currently, North Carolina hospitals are seeing an increase in COVID cases with 485 hospitalizations as of August 30th, up from 435 the week prior, according to the State Department of Health. Hanchett says the face covering is a way the church is keeping people safe, but it is not going to stop anyone from enjoying what is being called music for the soul.
Church opens its doors, the community comes, and the music lifts up.
The free concert takes place on September 12th at 7:30. Doors open at 6 p.m. for folks who would like to buy some soul food dinner before the musical festivities begin. Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
The summer holiday travel season is coming to a close. Over this holiday weekend, TSA expected to screen more than 14 million passengers through the first half of the week. But it wasn't all smooth sailing aboard an American Airlines flight from Charlotte to Boston on Saturday. Investigators now looking into a potential criminal act on board. Wake Up Charlotte's Richard Devane joins us now live from Charlotte. Douglas with the details on that, Richard.
Good morning, Sarah. Good Monday morning. Happy Labor Day to those of you who are enjoying Labor Day off, and for those still laboring, let's get right to this story. Now, officials are not going into too many details about what happened on Flight 1441. That was from Charlotte to Boston. But we do know that it happened, whatever the incident was, a criminal incident happened when they were up in the air midway on the flight. That's why federal investigators are getting involved instead of, like, for instance, Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police or Boston Police. Now, authorities on both ends were notified of what occurred, and an investigation has been launched, and they're taking this as a very serious issue. All of this is a busy holiday travel season. Labor Day travel season is underway. Today, things aren't looking that bad at the airport. Nice and smooth so far. Not that morning rush. Of course, people knowing that tomorrow's probably going to be the bigger day for folks coming back to their final destinations. But of course, we expect a lot of folks to start traveling, getting as far as the airports are concerned, coming in later this afternoon if you're trying to get to work on Tuesday. Now, if you're driving, you know, as Sarah, you've said in the past, the best times to drive, or if you're driving back to your destinations, would be this morning before 10 o'clock and this evening anytime after 6. And for the airports, always best idea, leave early to give yourself more time to get to your destinations, especially if you have any last-minute changes. That's the word right here at Charlotte Douglas. It's Richard Devane. We'll send it back to you.
What truly matters in everything we do is you. That's why in Wake Up Charlotte, we bring you what you need, keeping you safer and smarter with weather to plan your day, stories affecting you where you live, topics that stretch dollars and save the pocketbook. And when roads close and accidents slow you down, we'll get you there on time. See the difference with Wake Up Charlotte, weekday mornings from 4:30 to 7 on WCNC Charlotte.
Tonight, a Gastonia church could see more than $100,000 in fines disappear. You might remember the city of Gastonia sued Faith, Hope, and Love Ministries for violating several city and zoning ordinances and allowing a homeless encampment on the property.
Yeah, both parties have come to an agreement, and the city filed a consent judgment to give the church a month to get into compliance. WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre has been following this legal battle for some time and brings us the new details.
Church leaders tell me they closed the homeless encampment. They got rid of 2 large trailers that went against zoning codes, all to show how serious they are about meeting the guidelines set in the order.
It's kind of heart-wrenching, but it's a win because now we can go forward and do some great things.
A legal battle between a Gastonia church and the city could soon come to an end. Faith, Hope, and Love Ministries has 30 days to get their property up to code after violating several city ordinances while running a homeless encampment on its campus. The encampment has been a big safety concern because of recent crimes and drug activity. Just 2 weeks ago, there was a deadly shooting there at the church. The city of Gastonia filed the consent order Tuesday.
That court case hanging over our head was kind of, a lot of sleepless nights, so now we can breathe a little bit.
Church leaders closed this homeless encampment, agreed not to allow people to sleep overnight on its property, and cleanup efforts are underway. Under the judgment, the city also waiving the penalties accrued.
The only time that potentially could come back up, which to this date is the amount of $116,460, would be if this order was not complied with.
I think this is as ideal as we can get at this point, as long as the city really was more concerned about compliance with city codes and the health and safety of the people on the property.
200 units.
Meanwhile, Pastor Moses Colbert says they will continue to offer hot meals, showers, and work to serve the homeless population.
This problem is not going away. We know it because that's just the world we live in now. And we just want to do what's right by them and do as much as we can for them.
Pastor Colbert says that the homeless encampment was just a temporary solution. He says the larger goal is to eventually build like a 200-unit property or complex on the property to provide housing for the homeless. And he says for that, it will take a community effort to make that goal achievable. In Gastonia, Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
5:08 this morning, and we're talking about the local police officer that's getting a lot of attention.